Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be installing a oil catch can. This is for the Gladiator, JL, and Ram 1500 EcoDiesel engines. It's made by TNS Speed Shop Performance Garage. They make some great products. This is a well-built, well-thought-out kit. It comes with everything needed. I mean, the parts that they supplied are super nice. Even this built stainless steel bracket, man, is just gorgeous. So that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna install this on the Jeep. It's really a super simple install. It's not gonna take long at all, but I'm gonna document it. That way, if anyone is curious on how this goes or how the install goes on this, you'll know. They do supply you with some instructions as well. And I think it's more geared towards the Ram 1500, which is fine because it's all the same, right? I guess my only complaint, because I have this installed already on one of my Jeeps, Buttercup actually, but I guess my only complaint is the sight glass, right? So when you install this with this facing the engine. And with that being said, you can't see this sight glass at all, no matter what you do. I mean, you could get one of those little telescoping mirrors and go around it with a flashlight and check your level. Rule of thumb, what have figured out here is every time you change your oil, just drain it. Takes all the guesswork out of it. Would it be cool to see the sight glass? Sure. But this is designed, I believe, actually I know it was designed in the Ram 1500 in mind, so the mounting location is a bit different, so you can actually see the sight glass on your Ram. For the Jeeps, it's a no-go. But it comes with everything you need, and I'm gonna show you that right now. Check it out. So here's your parts. You get the catch can itself. You'll get your two hoses that you need to supply the in and out of the catch can. You cut one hose on the Jeep and install these with your supplied clamps. It's got this is the plug for the sensor that is located on your engine. You pull that sensor out, it now will be located on the top of this catch can, and you plug the factory location with this, and they give you a harness that will take that harness over to the catch can, makes it a nice easy install. Here are your bolts. It gives you all the bolts needed to do the install. It's got the splitters for the hoses, and then like I said, you're going to need to supply yourself with the hose clamps. Do you really need to clamp them? Probably not. This is a very low pressure system, but nonetheless, I'm a mechanic. I like to make sure all my hose clamps are everything's good and secure. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start by getting the bracket on, mount it up, and then I will bolt the catch can to the bracket, and then we will put the hoses on the catch can, and then we'll see exactly where we need to cut the factory hose to put the splitters in. And it's that simple, guys. Other than moving the sensor, like this is a super easy install. And for me, I believe it's well worth it because the simple fact is you're not consuming oil from your intake or through, you're just not consuming the oil that it produces through the crankcase ventilation. So to me, it's a must for a turbocharged engine. So here we go. Let's get to it. Okay, first things first, we're going to install the catch can to the bracket. Super simple. Okay, so this is a 13 millimeter. If you got smaller fingers, this will help you in your situation. But I've got big fat fingers. Nonetheless, it's not that big a deal. Okay, that's that. Now we're going to move over to the vehicle and we're going to install this bracket onto the fan shroud. Okay, so they supply you with the two bolts that bolt it to the top of the fan shroud. And let me show you. So this bolt 10mm bolt. It's pretty long. You got to remove that, and that'll go on this bracket here. So that'll hold it here. Then these 2 bolts here and here, which are supplied with the kit, will hold this on. So that's what I'm gonna do now. So before I tighten this one up completely, because it does have a slight adjustment to it, I'm gonna put these other 2 in that are supplied with the kit. And they are a hex head or Allen head, whatever you like to say. And here's what I've noticed, and I noticed this on my last one. So my solution was to remove the washer on this bolt. These have a really big washer on it here, and it hits that bracket ever so slightly, so you can't really line it up here for the holes unless you push it. So you got a couple options here. You can bend this tab. You can bend this tab here ever so slightly, or you can remove this big washer on this nut or this bolt, or you can grind some of that washer flat. Either way, it's completely doable. I think what I'm gonna do is bend it, because if you'll see right here at the corner of this bracket, it touches the plastic on my radiator, right? So if I bend it ever so slightly to match these holes, that little elbow will come off of my radiator. So that to me is a must. So I think what I'm gonna do is pull this back off, bend this 90 here just a little bit to lift it up off of the radiator, and then possibly bend it here towards me so it all lines up better and it doesn't rub a hole in my radiator. And guys, these are, you know, they're bending these on a machine. So they're not gonna be perfect. I mean, actually, that is perfect 90 on both of those bends, but this is a custom application for each individual vehicle, a little slightly different, right? Depending on how it was all bolted together from the factory, but all that's totally fixable. It's not a big deal. I'll show you what I'm gonna do here. All right, pull this back off. Okay, so I'm gonna manipulate this bracket ever so slightly. So I need this piece here, if you can see that, to come up and away from my radiator. So I'm gonna bend this piece out, and then I'm gonna bend this piece back down. So that should shift this whole thing over some. So this little feller needs to go that way some. And then this piece back flat again. Okay, so yeah, so check it out now. A little bit of manipulation of that bracket. You may or may not have to do this. I did, but here's what happened. Here's the results. This piece is in, this bolt is in, and you can see now that is not touching the radiator at all. So it's actually got a very substantial gap versus what it had earlier. So that's the winner. A little bit of manipulation, and that's normal when you have custom parts. I tell people that all the time, and they're like, no, it should fit perfectly. And I'm like, listen, this stuff is not an exact science. It is what I call a roundabout science. It's just part of doing this stuff and making stuff your own and having custom parts. This is how it all works. It's just normal. It's just normal. You know what? It sucked it up and it still touches. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a spacer, which when I say spacer, I mean a washer, in between the bracket and the radiator. and that'll space it out ever so slightly because it's still touching. I mean, I could go ahead and bend it. Let me see if I can bend it a little more. Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think a spacer would also be that much more security. Last thing you want to do is get 1,000 miles from home and have a damn pinhole in your radiator. So I'm going to spacer it for my own peace of mind. Yeah, you can see there is clearance between the two, but if I remove this bolt and put a spacer between here and the radiator, it will bring that out even that much further. So let's do that. So I'm gonna take this spacer and I'm gonna put it right between those two, just like I showed you I was gonna do. And that's gonna be perfect at that point for me. All right, remove the bolt, slide the spacer in, put the bolt back, and voila. I'll show you this when I'm finished. Boom. Perfect. Okay, looky here what we did. And believe me guys, if this wasn't a video, I would be done in 10 minutes. But there's that, there's the spacer washer, and there's the factory bolt and the brackets in between. You can see plenty of room. Not gonna ever touch that radiator no matter what. So I'm gonna tighten these two bolts down. I'm gonna put the hoses on here loosely, find out where I'm gonna cut this hose here. You can see this is your PVC hose, runs down to the engine here. That's your sensor that you're gonna remove. It's gonna come over here and go on the top of the catch can. Here's your harness. You have a harness extension. It's just gonna run over here. I'll probably throw a zip tie on it somewhere in this area and put my hose clamps and be done. So your 90-degree fitting will go here on the bottom. Like I said, I'm just gonna leave them kind of loose. And your straight will go here. So basically, this is just a quick connect. If you wanted to remove this to get a little better feel of where you're gonna be stretching this hose out to, right? So I would say cut it here. We can cut it, say, there. All right, there's that. You can see that's from the hose. So you're sucking that directly into your intake and burning it through your turbo on the clean air side. Not only will this keep your engine a little bit cleaner, but that oil will not collect in your intercooler. And I think to me that's the most important part. I'm sure that both of my Jeeps have oil in the bottom of their intercoolers. I'm hoping it'll maybe process that and suck it through the system eventually to have a clean intake or a clean intercooler. But there's just not a lot that you can do about it. Except for this. This is your solution. I'm gonna put this on, rotate it, and it's gonna go here. And I'll be honest, these are tight enough. I don't think you would need a hose clamp. Probably don't need hose clamps. It's user's preference. I hose clamped Buttercup just because, like I said, I'm a mechanic and I feel better that way. So tighten these two up. Another thing, keep in mind, these are a flared fitting, guys, so I'm gonna do one at a time. They're a flared fitting. They don't have to be super, super tight. Just snug them up. And they're aluminum, so you don't wanna stress those out too much because if you over tighten them, they can stretch that flare fitting it's just a good practice not to over tighten them. Just snug them up. Like I said, this is not a high pressure system here. It's just a crankcase ventilation. Any kind of crankcase pressure you have in your engine, it'll come out through here. And actually, you know what? You are sucking it through here, so I'm sure that's where how the oil gets so caught up. So it's a positive, PCV, positive crankcase ventilation system. It sucks it through here. From here, just keeps a positive pressure on the system. That way you don't build pressure and blow out your oil seals. So that's that. Now, we'll disconnect this. This is, I believe, an 8mm nut on the sensor side. We'll remove that. Be careful not to drop this little guy. You're gonna need it. Put it right here. Don't knock it over, don't drop it. And then just kind of twist this thing and pull out. It's got an O-ring that holds it in place. So twist and pull kind of at the same time. There you go. And there's your O-ring. And then we're gonna place that right here. And lube this up. Lube this O-ring for the first time because it may or may not be dry when you put it on, but it never hurts to lube your O-rings. Slid right in. Okay, so now we'll take this, and this is gonna plug that hole here. Easy. Just snug it up. Don't have to be super tight. I'm sure there's a torque spec for this little thing. I've been doing this long enough. My elbow is my torque wrench. And we're gonna do the same thing over here with the supplied bolt. This is gonna bolt this to the can. And I imagine these are universal. You could use this either way, either place. I'll tell you what, these guys up at TNS Speed Shop really make some quality stuff. I mean, they're the ones that's making all of our exhausts for these things too. And they are an absolute work of art. If you haven't seen those yet, you're welcome to go to my channel. And I have an install video of this exhaust system on this truck, actually. Okay, wire and harness extension. Let's do that. So, we'll take this factory harness, we'll plug it into the extension piece, lock that little lock in place. We're gonna do the same over here. You can tell they are using the good parts. There's no junk when it comes to these guys over at TNS. They use the good stuff. They are not skimping any corners. And then I'll put a zip tie right here around that hose. And guys, that's it. We're done. So that's the whole install. Like I said, man, if you're not doing what I'm doing with this camera stuck to your hip, this is literally a 10-minute job. So maybe 15 if you need to bend that bracket a little bit here and there. But it's super, super easy. Well worth the money. Keep your intake clean, keep your intercooler clean, get you a catch can. You know, they've been using catch cans, geez, forever for crankcase ventilation systems. So it's a big deal on turbocharged engines. But anyways, here's the final install. You can see everything has its place. Everything looks great. I'm gonna put a zip tie around that. Probably one here. The zip tie around that just so it's not up here shaking. And I'll add some clamps to both of these. So 4 clamps and we're golden. So that's it, guys. As usual, thanks for watching. If you want, leave some comments. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. If you feel like this was helpful, let me know that as well. So until next time, guys, we'll see y'all later. Peace.